25 drivers, 16 nationalities, 3 champions, 1 world champion. Road to Indy TV.
On behalf of everyone at Cooper Tires,
drivers, start your engines.
Engines firing up down here on pit lane. Ladies and gentlemen, we're set to go racing here with Indy Lights. The top rung of the road to Indy. Wheel-to-wheel action up next.
Like Toby Sowry, like Robert McGinnis, and certainly great drives from some other young talents like David Malukas and Ryan Norman. And we're going to crown a champion possibly tomorrow. It could happen today, though. If Oliver Askew scores a 5th place finish or better, the championship is his regardless of where he finishes. As long as he starts these 2 races this weekend, the title is his. And it's been that type of consistent season, Kyle, that makes me think just coming home in the top 5 doesn't seem like it should be that big of a challenge for Oliver Askew.
It doesn't seem like an unachievable goal. He's just been so strong all year. He seems that he's always getting the most out of what he has. And at times it hasn't been a win, but it's almost always been a podium. So I think for him it should be typical is drive for him as he's been doing all year. But as we know, anything can happen. It'll be an exciting race. We've seen a lot of action happen here going into turn 2 brake zone. So if things stay clean, I think he's going to be in a good position, but anything can happen.
The racetrack, it is seemingly pretty wide down there in turn 2, but as we have talked about a couple times this weekend, the elevation change going downhill, that's going to make for a challenge for these drivers.
It's challenging, number one, like you said, the elevation, but then also the way it bends in the brake zone. You've seen a couple guys, even in the IndyCar series, wanting to turn as they're braking and locking up that right front. And if you're inside of another car, that'll put you right into the car on your outside. So there's a lot of ways that you can squeeze what appears to be a very wide corner.
So the drivers are now out on the racetrack for the first of 2 parade laps. This is a doubleheader, the Cooper Tires Indy Lights Grand Prix presented by Allied Building Products. These drivers just on the racetrack right after NTT IndyCar Series qualifying. Saw a lot of dirt kicked out on the racetrack. The track crews here at Laguna Seca have been really good about making sure after every session of getting the sweepers out on the racetrack. But the rubber that's been laid down, I know is going to cause a big challenge and quite a curveball for these teams.
I've felt it before, and it is tough on those opening laps, and it usually takes a couple laps anyway to get these tires up to temp. So having different tire compounds on the racetrack does add a little level of difficulty.
We've got 2 very talented turn announcers that are out on the racetrack. The first one that is going to see the field here at pace speed is Michael Young, who has perhaps one of the best seats in the house. Michael, tell us a little bit about that view you've got in turn 8.
Well, I basically am in a tree stand, if you will, and I'm able to turn to my right, and then I can see the entrance to turn 7. It's a quick little right-hander as the drivers then will set up for the infamous corkscrew, turns 8 and 8A. Turn 8A is, or 8A and 8B. The left-hander is a 90-degree turn, and that's where the drop begins, a 60-foot drop by the time they get to the bottom of this hill. 8B is a right-hander, so the drivers will swing to the apex on the inside of the track, a pyramid there to keep the drivers from getting too far to the inside. If they're able to manage, they'll hit that right-hander. The car really loads, and you can hear some tire spin, and you can actually feel and hear the cars as they make their way to the right-hander to the bottom of the hill. It is a magnificent view as we look at mountain ranges all around us, Nick Yeoman. A beautiful day here. They'll make their way to the bottom of the hill. They'll make a left-hander to turn number 9, and then they will come to the view of our Dave First.
Yep, and that's the voice of Michael Young. Dave First will be our other turn announcer. Dave, you're in position here at Laguna Seca.
Yep, there, as Michael was talking about, there are about 300 feet of elevation changes here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Turns 2, 3, and 4 are not part of those elevation changes. Coming downhill from turn 1, turn 2, known as the Andretti hairpin. Plenty of runoff area to driver right, setting up for turn 3, a longer sweeping right-hander. It seems like a pretty simple second gear turn, but Ryan Hunter-Reay described it as really one of the toughest turns of the circuit yesterday. After passing under the crossover bridge, it's another right-hander, turn 4, and then a lengthy straightaway passing under the Mother's Polish Bridge and a sweeping left-hander, almost a mini carousel there. That's turn 5. before heading east and back uphill to the more hilly portions of this racetrack and eventually into the view of Michael Young. Fast and technical, seems simple, but if you can, I tell you what, you can find trouble quickly around here. We look forward to see it all play out here. Indy Lights, race number 1 here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
And the fifth voice that you'll hear on this broadcast is Pitside to keep us updated on anything that might be happening. Rob Howden, my friend, here we are, Laguna Seca. It's time to crown a champion.
No doubt about it. Oliver Askew, of course, has been very calm throughout the second half of the season, feels really confident in his team, and of course he comes in knowing he only needs to start both races to be able to win the championship. It's been interesting, Nick, because he's been kind of more stressed here the last couple of weeks, and now maybe that's because he's thinking about 2020 already and potentially putting a program together. I had a quick talk with him before the race after qualifying, and he had said to me that things are already coming together. It's almost a done deal for next year, so there you have it, folks. Oliver Askew, if he wins this championship, we may see a really solid program for him in 2020.
Yep, it's a really good problem to have, to be stressed out over planning for 2020. First things first for Oliver Askew, it's a top 5 finish. The title, he'll take it today. The field of 8 makes their way out of the final corner, the hairpin in turn 11. We're going to go racing for 30 laps as the green flag is out for the Cooper Tires Indy Lights Grand Prix, presented by Allied Building Products. They'll race down towards turn number 2.
Rita's VK has about a half car length. Robert McGinnis to the outside of Toby Sowery, almost too wide at the entrance of turn number 2. Then it spiles out single file after that. Rena's VK now close to the inside of that turn in turn number 3. That sweeping turn under the Firestone Bridge. Now another right-handed turn. It's now single file. Rena's VK, Toby Sowery, Robert McGinnis running in 3rd.
Really good jump for Rena's VK as the championship leader Oliver Askew falls back and forth. At the back of the field, it looks like Lucas Cole picks up his position as he gets around Ryan Norman. So the advantage for VK is about 4 car lengths, call it 3, over Toby Sowery as they make their way through turn number 6. Now they'll crest the hill as Rena's VK hits the corkscrew for the first time.
He sets up, hits that left side tires, already hits the throttle, back end stepping out ever so slightly. 2 car lengths back to Sowery, then Robert McGinnis, Oliver Askew, Dalton Keller right behind him as Lucas Cole has all kinds of problems getting through the corkscrew. He'll fall to last.
Yeah, it looks like it was Lucas Cole who got off course leading up to the corkscrew, lost that 7th position back to Ryan Norman, and more importantly lost a ton of track position. Out of turn 11 to complete lap number 1, the advantage for Rena's VK is about 5 or 6 car lengths over Toby Sowery as they bend their way back down towards turn number 2.
That car length advantage now about 2.5 over Toby Sowery. Rena's VK continues to lead it. All the guys behind him a little wide at the exit of turn number 2. The advantage there goes to the front 2 as they now separate themselves by about 4 car lengths or so. Rena's VK now by 5 car lengths as they head out of that Mother's Polish Bridge here at Laguna Seca. Toby Sowery running in 2nd. Robert McGinnis still in 3rd.
Boy, I thought Dalton Kellett was going to challenge Oliver Askew for the 4th position, but all of a sudden he ran a little wide, kicked up a ton of dirt, and lost the 5th position to David Malukas. So it's VK, Sowery, McGinnis, the top 3. Then it's Askew as they race up towards the corkscrew.
Dalton Kellett had a great car yesterday, brought out a red flag, put him in the back of the field. Rena's VK already through. Toby Sowery, 4 car lengths back to Robert McGinnis, then Oliver Askew, David Malukas, Dalton Kellett, the 48 of Ryan Norman, and finally through as Lucas Cole. They make their way down the hill and through turn number 9.
And Kyle Kaiser, a great illustration of just how, you can throw away good track position here with this racetrack when it jumps out and gets you. Both Lucas Cole, Dalton Kellett making some early mistakes.
Yeah, it's not hard to do here. We saw it all weekend, guys, making little mistakes like that. You drop one wheel and you're easily losing a spot, if not more.
The lead continues to grow for Rena's VK. It is at 1.5 seconds, Dave, first, and that is a big number as early on he's gapping Toby Sowery in that 2nd position.
And that's out of that push to pass range, isn't it? Further back, Robert McGinnis about 5 car lengths back, making another 5 back to the championship leader in Oliver Askew. Single file now under the Firestone Bridge. The car length advantage about 2 separated there between positions 5, 6, and 7. VK Sowery McGinnis here at Laguna Seca.
VK bends his way through turns number 5, blown away by just how high it looks like he sits in that race car. I know that's a little bit different for every driver, but he's got a great view as he sets up for the corkscrew in car 21.
Our championship contenders talked to Rena's VK yesterday, actually 6'1". Oliver Askew 6'2". VK 6 car length advantage over Oliver Askew. McGinnis is kind of checked out a bit from Oliver Askew, who runs in that 4th position. Malukas, Kellett, and then the machine of Ryan Norman.
Yeah, that's a good point. These aren't 2 of the taller guys that we've seen in motorsports. Some of these guys aren't very tall. You're one of those that I think is probably about average height, but guys like Oliver Askew and Rena's VK blown away by just how high VK sits in that race car.
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with that. I'm 6 foot, so even my end, I'm on the taller end of the spectrum. But we see in IndyCar, there are guys that are pretty tall. I mean, Rossi stands at 6'2" or 6'3". Ray Hall's a tall guy. Ryan Hunter-Reay's a tall guy. So, you know, I guess go tall guys, right?
Impressed by the start early on for Rinus VeeKay, doing exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, he's done a great job. I mean, he's a very raw talent, so he's out there. He's doing what he needs to do, is just lead this race and be consistent and make no mistakes.
And as for our championship leader, Oliver Askew, he's kind of settled in to the 5th position. He only has about a 7/10 of a second advantage over David Malukas. So Malukas is keeping the pressure on as Oliver Askew sits comfortably in that 4th position. That would win him the championship if the race were to end, but David Malukas is right there for that BN Racing team. Those two will race their way through turn number 6 as they climb the hill, head for the corkscrew. Askew trying to hold off Malukas. Michael, it's the battle for 5th.
Yeah, David Malukas about 3 car lengths behind. There's Oliver Askew, really has the back end planted in the right-hander, that 8B portion of the track. But David Malukas really keeping track with about a 5 car length disadvantage for David Malukas in that 4th position.
Yeah, as I mentioned, that translates to right around 7 to 8/10 of a second. So that's close enough for David Malukas to start to use that push to pass button. It's a little extra horsepower to help these drivers pull off some passes as Rinus VeeKay sets the fastest lap of the race to complete lap number 4. Dave, first, we're keeping an eye on that battle for 4th as it looks like Askew's advantage over Malukas is closing.
Yeah, no question about it. He's got his mirrors full of David Malukas right now. A little wide at the exit of turn number 2 for Oliver Askew, and that's going to allow Malukas to make up another half car length under the Firestone Bridge. Now the right-hander through turn number 4. Still about a 4 car length advantage. Oliver Askew holding off David Malukas again. That's a battle for 4th here at Laguna Seca.
Now Askew's car looks really smooth, looks planted to the racetrack, just doesn't look too terribly fast. But again, it is David Malukas sitting in the 5th position. He has the advantage not only of using the draft, but the push to pass. That battle for 4th continues up the hill towards the corkscrew.
And it's down to about a 3 car length disadvantage for David Malukas. Oliver Askew already down, racing to the bottom of that hill, able to gap David Malukas by about 4 car lengths. A real strong point, Nick, for Oliver Askew, the bottom of the hill, that left-hander at turn number 9.
All right, Kyle, put yourself in that cockpit of that number 28 machine. If he loses this spot, the championship is still his. And how tense of a moment could this be with David Malukas kind of lurking?
I feel like just watching him at the start, he wasn't really taking any risks. I mean, he stayed on the inside line, held his line, even though he probably knew he could have popped to the outside, knowing that, you know, the front 2 cars were battling it out. We saw McGuinness fire through on the outside lane, so it probably was a good thing he held his line, because who knows what could have happened. So I feel like he's driving a very safe race right now. I think he's aware of the situation, and being in the position he's in, knowing how challenging the track conditions are, how hard it can be to pass here, he's probably just, you know, biding his time and driving a smooth, clean race.
And as you jump out of that cockpit, and I put you in the 71 of David Malukas, in the same respect, there's pressure on him. You don't want to be a guy that gets into a championship contender trying to win a title.
For sure, and even if I was in Malukas' position right now, you know that you could probably be a little more aggressive on that and know that he's going to give you a little more room. So you're always trying to make up positions and make passes. So if you know the guy in front of you is going to be tentative, you got to take advantage of that.
Yep, the advantage is just about 3 car lengths as those 2 drivers snake their way down and out of the corkscrew and around through the left-hander of turn number 9. It is just an incredible elevation change from the very top of that hill all the way back down the hill towards turns 10 and 11 to complete another lap here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. This is the Indy Light Series presented by Cooper Tires on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network. We are watching Rinus VeeKay. He's got 4 victories this season, looking for a 5th. Ultimately appears like he may come up short in this championship bid, but so far he has led all 5 laps as we are scheduled to run 30 here in the next to last race for the Indy Light Series presented by Cooper Tires. VeeKay's lead over Toby Sowery right now, a very, very healthy 3.2 seconds. It looks like, Kyle, he's picking up, you know, 2 to 3 tenths every single lap, and if that's the case, this may be a runaway. Toby Sowery's going to have to get on it.
Well, one thing you got to be aware of is we know tire degradation here is going to be extreme, and I was talking about this earlier in the qualifying. We were talking about it a little bit during the IndyCar broadcast. So the number 1 fear I would have for him is pushing too hard early and maybe Toby's just kind of saving his tires for the end of this race. It is a long race, and the tires go off quick, so if he pushes too hard too early, he might be having trouble later in the race.
Did you like getting feedback from a race engineer, someone down in the pit box, to let you know about, hey, if the gap is as healthy as it is right now at 3.2 seconds, to maybe back off just a bit?
I've been in that position, and that is super valuable. I remember it, I believe it was actually Indy GP, where we had a really good lead, and once they start closing that gap, you're like, okay, I got to turn it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's good to be able to back off, save whatever you do have, so if there is a yellow flag, you're not caught out by it.
So it's Rinus VeeKay, your race leader, as we start lap number 7. Toby Sowery runs second. Robert McGinnis is third. Oliver Askew is fourth. He's now put a 1.5 second advantage over David Malukas. So that battle that we were watching moments ago for fourth has calmed down just a bit. Malukas sits in fifth. Dalton Kellett is sixth. Ryan Orban seventh. And Lucas Cole is eighth. Well, a big announcement just a few hours ago here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. I'll let Rob Howden tell you a little bit more, but Rob, it appears the Indy Lights field will be growing in 2020.
Indeed it will. Michael Duncap joining me here from Exclusive Autosport. And not only have you just announced that you're going to have potentially 2 cars next year in the Indy Lights program, you have that karting program, you have F1600, you have USF 2000, you have Indy Pro 2000. Really, your internal ladder system, something that nobody else has right now.
Yeah, we're really proud of that. We started the program in 2013, and the goal was to, be successful at 1600 and then grow. And we wouldn't grow until we were successful at every level. But yeah, we're very proud of what we built in 7 years, and very excited about the challenge to come in 2020.
Let's talk about Indy Lights, because that's obviously a big thing for you. You guys came in 2017 to USF 2000 with Parker Thompson. You moved to Indy Pro the next year. Now Indy Pro and USF 2000. You're growing into Indy Lights. Like that, you are getting to the top level. For a team owner who's trying to grow his program, part of this road to Indy, give us the emotion behind, number one, maybe the nervousness of starting an Indy Lights program, but how much pride you have in your team to do so.
Nervousness, there's definitely a little bit. I think it's maybe a little bit the unknown, but, the one thing, we will be, Exclusive Autosport will be a rookie entry, but we will by no means be a rookie team. We've already hired some veteran staff for 2020. Again, we don't want to go in and learn. We want to go in and compete right from the get-go. So working really hard to, again, put that incredible staff together and really talented driver lineup so we can go and compete.
One of the things we see a lot of times from the road to Indy, into the teams as well in the NTT IndyCar Series, is having personnel move forward through the program. Have you been doing that as well? You have a championship-winning team, multi-time championships in Ontario and F1600. You've moved guys up, mechanics up into USF 2000. Are we going to see potentially some Indy Pro guys moving up to Indy Lights next year?
We'll see. I'm not sure just yet, but possibly.
What about drivers? I I was going to ask you about a driver for sure. You've mentioned you potentially have somebody signed. You said that in the press conference. Can you tell us who the driver is, or is that something that's secret right now?
I can't. We can't say who it is just yet, but we'll be announcing it shortly for sure.
Are you expecting 2 cars? Is that the plan, to try to get 2 cars on the grid next year?
Yes, absolutely. We definitely want a 2-car program so the drivers can work together and our engineers can be working with each other to have a really solid program.
Obviously, the last question will be, when is this going to roll out? Are we going to potentially see a car at the Chris Griffith Memorial Test at Indianapolis?
I'm not sure just yet. That is definitely the goal, but we'll be receiving the cars in about 2 weeks. So we've got a lot of work to do to get them race ready for Chris Griffith. A lot of eyes on that test, and we don't want to go in unprepared. I mean, that's the big thing. We want to make sure we do everything properly. So to push a bad situation doesn't make sense, but we'll see what we can do.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Michael Duncap, guys, what an amazing team. Exclusive Autosport. They actually have a program where they support karting in Canada. F1600, USF 2000, Indy Pro, and now a 2-car Indy Lights program coming for 2020. Nick Yoma, this is exactly what we needed for Indy Lights. More cars, more teams, more drivers to develop competitors for the NTT IndyCar Series.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, but first, Michael Young, I think there's some stuff we need to talk about on track, because our race leader is really not taking it very easy through the corkscrew.
No, we were talking about, hey, you need to ease in, Kyle Kaiser's like, you just want to save your stuff. About 3 laps ago, Rinus VeeKay nearly hit what is a pyramid. It's a concrete pyramid on the inside, try to keep the drivers from getting too far down on that apex. He nearly hit it 3 laps ago. The last time by, he hit the right side of that, shot the car to the right, nearly lost control of it. Rinus VeeKay doing a magnificent job saving that car. And the lap before that, Robert McGinnis completely missed the apex, put the right sides off on the top portion of the exit of the left-hand turn. This portion of the circuit has been insane the last couple of laps. These guys pushing to the very edge as they finish the penultimate race of the season. Here comes our leader, Rinus VeeKay, and he almost hit that pylon and pyramid again. It is concrete, and man, Rinus VeeKay not giving up. Toby Sari right behind him. McGinnis, and that gap back to Oliver Askew is down to about 3 car lengths. So Oliver Askew will be able to use that button again and use that push to pass, maybe be able to jump onto the 3rd step of that podium before this is over.
Yeah, there's no doubt with that pair of drivers, VeeKay and McGinnis, with the issues at the top of the hill in the corkscrew. It really hasn't hurt VeeKay. He continues to lay down big laps as his lead was at about 4.4 seconds this time across the line. It's at 4.6. But Dave, first, the issues for Robert McGinnis has tightened up a battle for 3rd as he and his teammate Oliver Askew head to turn 2.
The closest portion they get is that Andretti hairpin. Ironically enough, both of them drive for Andretti Autosport. That time by didn't quite close up as tight as they did the lap prior to that. It's now about a 4-car length advantage as they make the approach now to turn number 4, right-hander there, and then they go up through the gears, hard on the gas before making that left-hander the turn number 5. About a 5-car length advantage. McGinnis trying to hold off his teammate Oliver Askew.
Yeah, across the line it was an 0.8 of a second advantage, so Oliver Askew has the advantage to use the push to pass as they make their way through turn 6 and start to climb the hill, though. He's got to make up, it looks like, an 8 or 9 car length advantage. So, Michael, it looks like that gap is growing.
Yeah, it certainly is. Robert McGinnis, as he really starts to hustle that car back through that left-hander and now the right-hander. Last time by it was, like we said, 3 car lengths, but now McGinnis checking out a little bit, about a 5-car length advantage over his teammate Oliver Askew.
Now let's talk about that corkscrew, because that is where a couple of those drivers have made mistakes. How easy is it to do at the signature part of this racetrack?
It's a really challenging corner. Obviously, starting off in the brake zone, you have a berm in the middle of the brake zone. So if you're staying on the brakes too hard, you're going to lock them up going into the corner, which is going to send you wide and put you out where nobody wants to go. So number 1, the braking's hard. Number 2, you start turning in, the track's going away from you, so you're going to get a ton of understeer. The one area where you really want the car to turn is at the peak of that corner. Yeah. So you're going into it with a lot of understeer. The car's not turning. You might be carrying too much speed because you just locked up. And then you have to clear like 2 stories jumping over this hill. And then at the bottom, you're expected to get the car back to the right while going to power. It's an insane corner, and it's very, very challenging.
Is this a case where, because I've heard some drivers say it doesn't seem like it's as bad if you nail it. Is it one of those things where if you miss your entry, it becomes a heck of a lot more difficult than maybe initially thought?
I mean, from a driving perspective, it all starts at the braking.
Yeah.
That's where all your problems will start or finish. If you have a bad brake zone and you lock it up, that's going to throw off the whole corner. But if you nail that brake zone, even in the races, you don't have to push super, super hard in that brake zone. You want to be close to the limit, but you want to be just below that so you're not making too many mistakes, because they just compile and compile if you make one mistake.
Looks like 3rd place running Robert McGinnis has done a very nice job through the course through the last couple laps and has been able to keep Oliver Askew at bay as they make their way through that final left-hand hairpin turn. Askew closes to within about 3 or 4 car lengths, but McGinnis able to get back on the throttle faster and pull away. Let's put a bow on that big announcement that Rob just had down on pit lane. Exclusive Autosport, brand new team to Indy Lights, and Kyle, that's what we need. Got to have new blood and to grow this series. That's like a big announcement that a lot of folks got to be really excited about.
That's a great announcement, and anytime we get more cars, more drivers, it's just going to feed into the IndyCar series. That's very important, and I'm just glad to hear that they're making the move up.
And Rob Howden, as you talked about, I mean, that is a team that has been involved with this road to Indy for a good little while and at just about every step. So this is a big announcement and a big step for that organization.
Yeah, no doubt about that, to have a team like that come into the program in Indy Lights. But really, you look back at what they've done, and when you're trying to think about how good is Exclusive Autosport going to be next year, you think about what Michael Duncalf and his wife Kimberly have put together in USF 2000. They were able to win their first year and battle for a championship. They did the same thing in Indy Pro last year with Parker Thompson fighting it out with Rinus VeeKay. So every time they've come in here with a new program, they've picked it up very quickly. They've won races. We will likely see that again next year. And that's exactly what Michael said. He's not coming in to be a rookie team. They're going to make sure they hire the right engineers. They're going to have the right staff. When they get their equipment dialed in, they're going to be racing for wins. And I think that's key, because there's a lot of interest in this program right now. There's a number of drivers for British F3 and F2 and GP3 over here this weekend. The Road to Indy had a mixer yesterday. They've invited some drivers over to come and meet the teams, meet the team owners, meet people, parts of the staff. There's a lot of interest right now for USF 2000, Indy Pro, and Indy Lights. We could see a couple of very good drivers join that exclusive Autosport team in their very first year here in Indy Lights.
Yep, so a big welcome to that organization. Can't wait to see them on the grid at St. Petersburg, Florida, as we kick off the 2020 Indy Lights Series Championship presented by Cooper Tires. First and foremost, though, we got to find out who's going to hoist the trophy in 2019. We're almost positive it's going to be Oliver Askew. The only question is, will it happen today or will it happen tomorrow? He has to finish 5th or better. And right now, Michael Young, he's doing a really nice job in the 4th position. He is continuing, though, to give chase to his teammate Robert McGinnis.
Yeah, Robert last time through swung a little wide at the entrance to the corkscrew, and that threw off his entire portion going down the hill to that right-hander. Oliver was able to gap that disadvantage and gain about 3 or 4 car lengths. So Robert's been pretty smooth, but every now and then he'll make a mistake going into the left-hander of the corkscrew at the top of the hill, and that just allows Oliver Askew to close back up.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's kind of like a rubber band. It stretches and then it compresses back. But the fact that those two cars, it's the best battle on the racetrack. They're separated by just about 1 second. Let's watch them, though, Dave, first as they raced out into turn number 2.
Again, it's a better entrance to turn number 2 for Robert McGinnis. Not as good at off at turn 2, the exit there. It's interesting to watch these cars go through this Andretti hairpin. You know, they top out around 140, 130 miles an hour or so at the exit of turn number 4 and the entrance of turn number 5. But through the Andretti hairpin, it almost looks like they're tiptoeing through this double apex corner. They really closed the gap, but right now it is Robert McGinnis about a 6 car length advantage over Oliver Askew.
Yep, it was 9/10 of a second at the line. So here's how we run as we have reached the halfway point of the Cooper Tires Indy Lights Grand Prix presented by Allied Building Products. It is Rinus VK, your pole sitter, who has led all 15 laps. His advantage over Toby Sowery has ballooned up to 5.6 seconds. Sowery comfortably in the 2nd position as he's got a 6.2 second advantage over Robert McGinnis. Then it's the best battle on the racetrack that we've been documenting, McGinnis and Askew battling for 3rd as they are separated by under a second, and at times that translates to just a couple car lengths on the racetrack. David Malukas right now runs in the 5th spot. Dalton Kellett is 6th. Ryan Norman is 7th, and Lucas Cole is the 8th positioned driver. Back down the hill, it's the battle for 2nd. Robert McGinnis, that advantage, Dave, it looks like it's 3 car lengths as they exit turn 2.
Yeah, it's been that way the last couple of circuits. Much better exit at turn number 2, though, for Robert McGinnis. He's able to stretch that out just a tad, make it 4.5 car lengths now in this battle for that 3rd and final podium position here at Laguna Seca. A little better exit off turn 4 as well that time for Robert McGinnis, so he stretches out that lead for this battle for 3rd.
And Oliver Askew has held on to a vast majority of those opportunities to use the push to pass. Not really pushing it, Kyle, as hard as he maybe needs to right now at halfway.
Yeah, there's no reason to waste those at this point. I think we've seen that McGinnis is starting to slow down a little bit. He's starting to probably wear out those tires. Oliver's just biding his time, running his clean race, and if it comes back to him probably within half a second, I bet we start seeing him use that to try and get by.
Plus, ultimately, he doesn't need the spot. He knows he can win the championship where he's sitting, and because that is a teammate, there's really no reason to push more than you need to. And I know that's not Oliver Askew's style, because he's a guy that wants to win a race and wants to win every race, quite frankly. That eye of the champion has really shown its way in 2019. But without a full course caution in this race right now, hard to see him running down either Toby Sowery or Rinus VK, because those guys are flat putting on a show. The pace up front's been impressive.
Yeah, there's no need for him to do it, but there was also no need for him to say pass Rinus VK at Gateway around the outside.
That's
true. Turn 1. So, I mean, just when I think I know what this guy's going to do, he does some risky moves. Maybe not risky to him, but he's out there to race, and I know he wants to be on this podium, so I think we keep an eye on him. If things start coming his way, I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a move to get on the podium.
Plus, and again, you look at all these situations, and these guys earn these opportunities. It's making big moves, not here in September, but doing it in June and in May, that ultimately set up maybe a less than stressful final weekend, and that's why Oliver Askew is poised. He's about 13 laps away from winning a championship. As for our race leader, that is Rinus VK. He drives for Ricardo Juncos, and Rob Houghton, I imagine that car owner has to be awful pleased with the performance of this driver.
Yeah, I think Ricardo very happy with the way that Arenas is driving right now. But I want to take the opportunity now, Ricardo, to talk kind of about what you see the maturity level of Arenas, how he's grown over the last couple of years. You guys won Indy Pro 2000 last year together. He was only 17 years of age. He's only 18 now. He's a young kid. How have you seen him handle these last couple of weeks, knowing that the Indy Lights Championship is pretty much out of his grasp, but he's still running so well?
Yeah, I think he's actually mature enough. I mean, he's doing a good job. Like I said in the beginning of the year, he's very talented, and I know a couple of mistakes that we make as a team that put us out of the championship, but it's always difficult to win. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He keeps proving that he's ready, and he can be the champion anyway. It's always difficult to win, but I'm very happy for the performance.
Some of the young drivers may have, struggled through this kind of a situation where they see that dream kind of getting away, and it hurts them a little bit. He has come out here and been so dominant here this weekend. You guys are strong, but your young team driver, he's got just such a strong will as well.
Yeah, I think that's also speak about his personality, his mental preparation. I think he's the full package, and you can see, like you said, right, the championship was over, and he never give up and always be confident, even like pretending that he's still a champion. I think that's what he needs to do, and he's doing that, and everybody's looking at, right? So he's good.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Again, just some input there, Nick Yeoman from Ricardo Juncos. We were talking about a young driver who came out of karting, went to USF 2000. It was only 4 years ago when he was in karts. USF 2000 finished second to Oliver Askew. He won the Indy Pro 2000 championship last year, and it's been a dogfight. He and Askew going back and forth all year long, but if not for that stretch from the second race at Toronto when he had that minor mistake, finished 10th in that race, or 9th rather, it's been a run for Oliver Askew. We may have seen a tighter championship, but I think maybe for Arenas VK, this is going to be a character-building year that's going to help him for years to come.
You ever have one of those moments where, you realize you're an adult, but in some situations you still feel like a kid? You imagine some of these drivers where they realize that, yeah, I was just in karting 4 years ago, and here I am on the doorstep of possibly racing in the NTT IndyCar Series.
That's pretty insane, because I know I took my time working my way up through the series, so it's hard for me to really fathom being in karts 4 years before jumping into an Indy car. It's extremely impressive.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable how good some of these drivers are that continue to make the climb up the road to Indy. Arenas VK is a very, very talented one. And again, not going to be able to claim the championship for 2019, but no matter if he comes back to Indy Lights, if he comes back to Indy Lights next year, there's no doubt he's going to be the favorite to win the championship. But if an opportunity to jump to the NTT IndyCar Series is there, it would not shock me if he makes a lot of noise. And he's made a lot of noise, Michael Young, up there at the top of the corkscrew. Looked like he kicked up a little bit of smoke as well a couple laps ago.
Yeah, several laps. He is pushing that gap, I would imagine, just from what it looks like, just from my vantage point when he goes through the corkscrew, and then that distance between he and Toby Sowery, I would say 7 to 8 seconds if I were to guess. And for Arenas VK, last time through, he locked him up big time. So at the entrance, turn number 7, basically halfway through that turn before making the left-hander, he locked up the tires. And this about 4 or 5 laps before that, you saw him lock him up a little bit, but was allowed those tires, the front left, to roll through, but still pushing ever so slightly. And he has come awful close to that pyramid again. So I don't know if Ricardo Juncos wants to get on the radio and say you've got a huge lead right now, but Arenas VK, as he rolls through right now, very clean that time through. He's just putting on a magnificent show this afternoon.
The trained eye of Michael Young is spot on. 8.1 seconds is the advantage for Arenas VK over Toby Sowery. Robert McGinnis runs in the 3rd spot. He's a good 15 seconds behind the leader, but boy, I'm telling you, Oliver Askew continues to just stalk him about 4 or 5 car lengths behind. At times in some of the braking zones, it's close to about 2 or 3. In fact, let's go ahead and take a peek into that battle for 3rd as they're making their way through turns number 10. That's the right-hander, and then set up for the final left-hander of turn 11. It's McGinnis, the first one to get to that corner. Askew closest to within 2 car lengths. Both drivers now driving for Andretti Autosport. Quick on the accelerator. They climb back uphill across the start-finish line. Just 9 laps to go, Dave. It continues to be the best battle on the racetrack.
And now into that Andretti hairpin, and for the first time, that gap is close to within about a half a car length. McGinnis with a better exit off turn 2, so he was able to extend that gap a little bit, but that was by far the best shot Oliver Askew had at making it pass. Nearly showed him that front wheel at the entrance of turn number 2. Now back in that exit of turn number 4, entrance of turn number 5. That gap now back to about 4 car lengths or so, closed in within 3, now to 4 as they get back on the gas.
Yeah, I mean, it got awful tight down there in turn number 2, so Oliver Askew is right there. They make the bend to the left-hander of turn number 6 and start to crest the hill. Michael Young, it continues to be a great battle. They're separated by just 2 car lengths.
It sits right now. Robert McGinnis through that left-hander, sweeps down. Car sets up nicely at the right-hander to the bottom of the hill. Now into turn number 9, Robert McGinnis checks it back out. 3 car lengths, that third-place position over his teammate, Oliver Askew.
It's about 4 or 5 as they go through turns 10 and set up for the left-hander of turn 11. Best spot, though, Kyle, it seems like consistently is down at the bottom of the hill towards turn 2.
I would agree. He's getting really good runs, and I'm looking here at the timing and scoring, and he's using his push to pass. Just a couple laps ago, he had 11, and now he's already down to 7. So it seems like he's starting to smell blood in the water, and he's wanting that podium.
Dave first, how close is he this time in turn 2?
Not as close as they were just a lap ago. That distance about 4 or 5 car lengths now as once again McGinnis seems to get a better exit off that hairpin consistently throughout the course of this 30-lap event. A little cleaner as well at the exit of turn number 5. So make it 4 or 5, maybe as high as 6 car lengths now. Robert McGinnis trying to hang on to that podium position.
Yeah, I mean, not all able to get alongside, but certainly Kyle in a position where Robert McGinnis knows he's there. And I'm sure Oliver is hoping that, hey, I don't really want to push to get alongside of him. I'd like to force him into a mistake.
That's exactly what you need to do here, is put on that pressure. We know how tight the window is here between making a mistake and just being on the ragged edge. So he's doing the right thing by driving his own race, but also maybe pressuring McGinnis into a mistake. But so far, McGinnis has been driving really well to keep him the to-be champion, it appears, in his mirrors.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job, actually. And in fact, it looked like it grown to about 4 or 5 car lengths. Also looked like David Malukas has gotten back up on the wheel as he's kind of close. Not close enough necessarily to call that a 3-car battle for the 3rd position, but close enough that if those 2 mix it up a little bit, he may be in position to grab another spot. Again, it's the battle for the 3rd position as it roars down to turn number 2.
You got to go all the way back to June, the last time Oliver Askew finished off the podium. That happened at race 1 at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, Road America. He's trying to reel in his teammate Robert McGinnis under the Firestone Bridge now at the entrance of turn number 4. Hard through the gears, once again up through the hard on the gas as well, I should say. McGinnis seems to have a little bit better exit off turn 5 once again, but again, Oliver Askew's right there in case something happens.
Yeah, as soon as it closed up about a lap and a half ago, it's almost like McGinnis has cranked it up to 11 to make sure that he can hold off Oliver Askew. Looks like it's about a 6-car length advantage as they head to the corkscrew.
Yeah, perfect. The last couple times through has been Robert McGinnis. Really gets the throttle of that midway portion going down the hill, setting up for that right-hander. Robert McGinnis has been spot on perfect. So too is Oliver Askew, but I really think Robert McGinnis has a better car, at least when he hits the portions and these apexes right. He just looks really smooth these last couple of laps through the corkscrew.
Up front, though, it is Rinus VeeKay. And Dave, first, you know, Michael's talked about how rough it's looked up at the corkscrew for Rinus VeeKay. Just how smooth has that driver looked through turns 2 through 5?
Yeah, I can't speak to the corkscrew, but this kid looks really smooth, both through the Andretti hairpin here at turn number 2, the exit at turn number 3 and 4. I don't think, honestly, he's put a wheel wrong this portion of this historic road course. He's looked pretty smooth here. By the way, that battle continues between Robert McGinnis and Oliver Askew, the 3rd and final podium position here in race number 1 for Indy Lights at Laguna Seca. Still about a 4-car length advantage at the exit of turn number 4, now at the entrance of turn number 5.
Yeah, it stayed right there from about 2 car lengths to give or take 5 or 6 at any given point. But most importantly, it has hovered underneath 1.5 seconds. So Askew has the opportunity to use the extra horsepower. He's only got 4 pushes of that push to pass left, Michael, so he's going to have to hustle, but he is closing in the corkscrew.
Boy, he really did this time by. Down to 2 car lengths is Oliver Askew. McGinnis, though, spot perfect again. Oliver Askew cutting the corner a little bit tighter, closes back in. 3 car lengths between he and his teammate, Robert McGinnis.
Just a perfect example of a cat and mouse game and how around this racetrack, Kyle, you could see leads grow and shrink in a very short amount of time.
Precisely, and this is a racetrack where it is a little challenging to run close to the car in front of you with some of these high-speed corners like turn 4, turn 5. If you get too much understeer from that aero wash, you're going to lose a lot of ground. And we're seeing Oliver now. He's getting within striking distance here.
Here he comes, Dave, first into turn 2.
All over that rear wing as he takes a peek to the inside. McGinnis really nestled up next to the left-hand curbing as almost if to almost block or at least make sure that Oliver Askew is going to stay behind him. He does. Better exit again off turns 3 and 4, so that advantage now about 4 or 5 car lengths for Robert McGinnis right now. You can tell he's got his hands full with the presumptive champion right behind him.
He is in championship winning position, but he is not in podium position. That is our points leader, Oliver Askew, who sits in the 4th position with just 4.5 laps to go. Back up the hill, here comes Askew. He's about 3 car lengths behind the Corkscrew.
Nice setup to the entrance to the Corkscrew is Robert McGinnis. Oliver Askew really closing in that time. He cuts that apex down to the bottom of the hill. They go. The left-hander, turn number 9. Oliver Askew still 3 car lengths behind.
Kyle, the pass, does it have to come in turn 2 here?
I would say that's probably the safest area, especially in his position to make that pass. I know you can pop out late and do an 11, but that is a little risky if they don't see it coming. So we'll have to see what he does here. He's using his push to pass almost every lap now, which is kind of surprising given that there's still 4 laps left. So we'll have to see what he can do here.
He's closing once again, Dave first. Not close enough, though, to get inside.
Nope, Robert McGinnis from New York, Oliver Askew from Jupiter, Florida. Askew closes to within a half a car length, but again, not able to get the better exit off turn 2 and the Andretti hairpin. McGinnis again, faster still through turns 3 and now turn 4. We'll see what happens, but clearly, if Oliver Askew is going to get around his teammate, Robert McGinnis, it's got to happen in turn 2.
And this, of course, is the battle for 3rd. Up front, though, Michael, let's kind of illustrate just how big the lead is for Rinus VeeKay.
Well, he's already through turn number 9 right
there you
now,
go.
so I just lost it. Here comes Toby Sowery. We will wait probably 3 or 4 seconds before we'll see the machines of Robert McGinnis and Oliver Askew. The battle between those Andretti Autosport teammates. McGinnis able to clock out about 4 car lengths now. He slips down to the inside. Identical lines both drivers run through, and you talked about it a little bit earlier. I think Robert McGinnis holding Oliver Askew up ever so slightly. Either that or Robert McGinnis able to close up that gap, because McGinnis is starting to close in on that battle as well.
Kyle, what's the body language, the hand movement in the cockpit that you're watching for Oliver Askew tell you about how you think that car's handling?
Yeah, this is a really good perspective here to see what he's seeing from his eyes, and it looks like he's handling a pretty loose car right now, so he's all over the wheel. Look, what I'm seeing, he's catching him a lot in the entries. He's really gaining under the braking, but McGinnis is doing a really good job of just squaring it up, getting really good exit shots, and where I see Oliver struggling is he has a lot of wheel at the exits, and it just allows him to not get a run on McGinnis.
Just 3 laps to go. It's Rinus VeeKay, your race leader. Toby Sowery runs 2nd. McGinnis is 3rd. Askew is 4th. David Malukas is 5th. Dave, first, let's take a peek at that battle for 6th, the rear of the field. Dalton Kellett and Ryan Norman.
Kellett trying to hold off Ryan Norman, the 3rd Andretti Autosport machine. Kellett really wide at the exit of turn number 2, and that's going to allow Norman to pick up another car length. Let's call it 3 or so at the exit of turn number 3, now to the entrance of turn number 4. Again, this is a battle for that 6th position. Dalton Kellett has it. Ryan Norman wants it. It's about 5 car lengths as they enter turn 5.
Kyle, did that look like our race leader had a bit of a moment there trying to get around Lucas Cole, the lap car?
It looked like it was a little unpredictable about where he was going to go. He tracked out right behind him, and I don't think he anticipated him slowing down at the exit. But, I mean, good intentions by Cole trying to let him get by without any hassle, but a very complex area of the racetrack to slow down.
Yeah, think about this racetrack. There's not a lot of good spots to get out of the way if you are a little bit slower. 2 laps to go. It is Rinus VeeKay, 9-second lead over Toby Sowery. That battle for 3rd continues on. Dave first, as Oliver Askew's just got a couple more laps if he wants to win this title and grab 3rd.
Maybe Kyle can chime in on this, but it seems to me as if Oliver Askew's entrance into turn 2, this Andretti hairpin, is a little sharper than that of Robert McGinnis. That allows him to pick up a little ground, but again, it's much smoother for Robert McGinnis. His exit of turn 2 is better. His exit of turn number 3 is better. He's got a little bit more momentum in this area of the road course, and that's allowing him to stay in that podium position.
Yeah, that's a great observation. One thing I'm seeing is McGinnis is doing a little earlier apex on that first one, widening up a little more in the middle, but then he's doing a good job of getting a good exit shot out of turn 2, where I think Oliver has a completely different perspective. He's braking super, super deep, able to roll a lot of speed, but he's doing a much wider line, which is, like you said, allowing him to hang on a little bit closer, but not getting the exit shot he needs to get the position.
On the front stretch is Rinus VeeKay, and he will see the white flag. It's been a perfect afternoon for the driver of that Soul Red Mazda car, Dave First, as he looks to score his 5th race win of the year.
Already out of the Andretti hairpin now at the exit of turn number 3 as well, hugging those Cooper tires up against that right side curving at the entrance of turn number 4. Rinus VeeKay may not win the championship this year, but you can't argue with his results at Portland and now here at Laguna Seca. Rinus VeeKay, he's on it here in Northern California.
Yep, no doubt about it. He is closing the season in style. He'll have a chance to possibly go back-to-back tomorrow as he climbs the hill and heads towards the corkscrew. And Michael Young, first you'll see our race leader, and then let's take a peek and an eye on the championship potential winner of Oliver Askew.
Yeah, so Oliver Askew is Rinus VeeKay already working through turn number 9, just a couple of turns remaining before he will go to victory lane for the 6th time in this 2019 campaign. The battle now for that 3rd position. Robert McGinnis, Oliver Askew, they get set to set up for turn number 7, that slight right-hander. 3 car legs, and Robert McGinnis is there as well. So now a nice 3-car battle. McGinnis, Oliver Askew, and David Malukas will round out 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Across the start-finish line, it is Rinus VeeKay who scores the win in the Cooper Tires Indy Lights Grand Prix presented by Allied Building Products. But through turn number 11, a season's worth of consistency will pay off as Oliver Askew comes across the start-finish line. He'll do what he needs to do to score the 2019 Indy Lights Championship presented by Cooper Tires. It is Oliver Askew, the championship and scholarship winner for 2019, as he does it for Andretti Autosport. What a fantastic accomplishment for Oliver Askew, and Kyle, a dominant win for Rinus VeeKay. Reasons for both of those guys to celebrate today.
Yeah, they're both young, they're both rookies, and they both drove like veterans today. So, you know, great driving by Rinus, obviously. He was the class in the field. He was consistently half a second quicker than everybody. So, amazing drive by him. And then Oliver doing everything he needs to do to secure this championship with 1 race still to go.
Rob Howden, I imagine there are a lot of happy folks in that Andretti Autosport pit.
Yeah, a lot of high fives down here for sure. Let's talk with J.F. Thorman from Andretti Autosport. Back-to-back championships. Last year you produced Colton Herta, Pato Award. This year you produce Oliver Askew. Pretty solid season.
It's amazing. We're really, really happy, and we've been following Oliver for many years, and having him in our team has just been great this year.
It's all about the driver as well, but you guys have a team here that gives these drivers cars week in and week out. Really, it's really a team effort. It's not just all about Oliver.
We try hard on it, and I think at our shop, it's the way we have the Indy cars and the Indy Lights together, and we sort of make it as a program to develop the IndyCar guys, and it's open knowledge everywhere.
How about we stop with that one comment? Oliver Askew at the start of the season, Oliver Askew now. How have you seen his development over a season?
I think he's matured quite a bit, and you can see that today he was driving, I think, to ensure the championship. Tomorrow he'll probably go for it. So, but he's been really good. If you look at his Freedom 100 and Gateway, those were 2 key moments for him in this championship. But we can't take anything away from Rinus VeeKay, outstanding competitor.
Hey, Jeff, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
J.F. Thorman, Nick Yeoman, what a championship effort here for Andretti Autosport.
Yeah, so well said there, too, to tip the cap to Rinus VeeKay, who was just absolutely perfect today. The ultimate margin for Rinus VeeKay in victory today was 9.8 seconds as he took the green flag, led lap number 1, and flat out left the field to score his 5th race win. But of course, the big celebration will be for driver of car number 28, Oliver Askew. And Kyle, this was you a couple years ago scoring an Indy Lights championship. The feeling of relief, I imagine, over Oliver Askew right now is gotta be maybe even bigger than the celebrating.
I remember this feeling. I mean, It was coming out of Gateway. We knew we just had to take the green flag at the finale, but you still, you can't celebrate until it's official. So I know exactly what he's feeling right now. It's probably one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in my life. And I'm sure there's going to be a similar reaction to what he had winning the Freedom 100 this year, which is very emotional, and it's a very special day for him.
And now the real challenge begins too, because there are a lot of of hungry dogs that are ready to put Oliver Askew in his place in the IndyCar series, but the scholarship and the opportunity that he's now going to get, it really can't go without saying just how meaningful it is.
If you told me that we're going to be Indy Lights champion 9 months ago and I didn't have an Indy Lights ride, then I wouldn't believe you. And I'm very proud to be racing for this team, Andretti Autosport, and they're back-to-back champions now. And I've gone from karts to cars in 4 years. So, karts to IndyCar in 4 years. So very, very proud of our achievements this year, and very proud of the job we've done, and can't wait to race IndyCar next year.